Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about I am not learning from my medical billing and coding program. What do I do now? If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, first things first. So you know all of my shows are dictated by what you all are commenting and posting about, questions that you have and scenarios that you're coming up with. So I'm doing all of these with you all in mind. That's the first part. Second part is this. I am very blunt. If you get your feelings hurt very easily, my videos are probably not going to be for you. But for those of you who need it, who need to hear it, maybe don't want to hear what I have to say, but if you take the time to take a few minutes to listen, and then you find out, oh yeah, maybe if I looked at it from this point of view, you're going to see that I do things because I care. I say things because I care, and not because I want you all to go out and spend all this money on things that you don't need to. Because the thing about medical billing and coding is you can learn this on your own. You do not have to go through a formal program. I have posted many times, the syllabus for studying independently. Now you can look up the latest and greatest books that are out there on the subject, because these books get updated every year. Or you can go by what the books that I have listed there and then get yourself some updated ICD-10 CM, CPT and HCPCS book, and then ICD-10 PCS if you're studying that part as well. You can always get the current year books. I always tell you guys where to find the cheapest books that are really good quality. Optum 360 is the best. They don't pay me. This is not an ad for them, but I always want to share the best products that I know. And Optum for me is the best when it comes to these books. Now, the AMA has their CPT Professional Edition. That's the one that I use, and that's the one that you need for these medical coding tests, right? So that aside, when I tell you all to check the description box, guys, all of that information is there. Literally, it's all there. And not only that, if you take the time to go through any of my videos, I have about 1,000 videos now, or it might be a little bit, 950 something videos. But I have a topic for every single thing that you can possibly imagine. So please take the time to go through there, because a lot of the basic questions can be answered simply by going through the videos. And if you want to independently study or take the independent study syllabus and use that in conjunction with your program, if say you're in a fast-paced medical coding program, you can certainly combine those two and use that to help supplement your studies. That is totally fine. Okay, so, but I'm going to read this comment and I'm going to get into the episode. So here we go. All right, so the comment says, I only have 5 months, full term, again, left. I know I can do this, but I'm indecisive right now because... So if you're telling me that you know you can do something and then you say in the same breath that you are indecisive, this tells me you just negated that you know you can do this and you are indecisive. Okay, so let's talk about the language that we're using here when we're communicating. All right, so that's the first part. So they said, number one, I got a list, okay? Number one, I do have a confusing, unorganized instructor. She puts me down emotionally/mentally. I'm going to come back to that one. I am behind in class. Class ends in 2 days. I'm not happy. Stress, all-nighters, anxiety, failure, and confusion that won't leave. Thinking, do I really have to go back/continue? Literally, this school is rated the worst, but it's close, affordable, and the only main university here in my state. I am fine with not understanding everything. I'm only human. Well, here's the thing. Let's go back to the first one. It says, I do have a confusing, unorganized instructor. She puts me down emotionally/mentally. First of all, why are you listening to somebody who is, in your words, unorganized and confusing? So see, there's part of your power that you're just literally giving away. Well, the teacher is confusing. Okay, so if you know the teacher is confusing, they're just all over the place, why are you still continuing to listen to them? Well, because there's part of the school, Blue. Okay, I get that. But what I've always suggested when people get into these really bad, fast-paced medical coding programs, or that the teacher is not really teaching, or maybe they're just proctoring from a book, I've always recommended to get all the material that you can from the instructor and stop listening to the instructor. So get the material and start looking at it yourself and working through it. Now, if you say, well, Blue, I don't understand this, I got a solution for you. You can go to LinkedIn and you can ask for recommendations for tutors or a mentor. Now, yes, you're going to have to put out a little bit of money if you want to hire a tutor, but it's worth it because then you get that one-on-one interaction. And sometimes it's just a few questions that you need answered by somebody who knows the field. So that way you can, okay, now you have that light bulb moment and now you can it'll start to make sense. All right. So my recommendation is to get on LinkedIn, ask for recommendations for tutors because there's a ton of tutors for medical coding on LinkedIn. I am a tutor myself, but my schedule is completely full for the month of December. I will not start booking again until January 2023. So if you're interested in booking with me, that's fine, but just know that it won't be until January 2023. But that's the first part that I want to talk about. Stop giving away your power to have somebody else make you feel bad from somebody who is clearly unorganized and is confusing. So this is why sometimes, like when people say, oh, well, so-and-so puts me down. Okay, then why are you listening to them? What influence do they have in your life? What part of your life do they have that is so important that you are going to give all of your attention to that person and let them make you feel bad, right? That's why, like a lot of times when people say, well, being on YouTube, you're living in a glass house. People are going to throw stones at you. I get comments from fools all the time. What do? I block them. Because do I care what they say? No, because my channel helps so many people and I know this. And I'm smart enough to be able to say, oh, well, I don't have to listen to what they say. And I don't, because again, they are not important in my life. What's important in my life is helping people and getting students back on the right track, which I hope that they listen to these videos and get more than just the 10% that sometimes people get out of my videos. Because sometimes I will say a whole complete video and I'll get a whole list of questions from somebody and I've literally answered everything in that video had they taken the time to watch the video. So that's the thing, guys. Stop taking criticism, stop taking people's just bad energy from people that are not important to you. When you start doing that, you're going to be more powerful and you're going to feel more alive because you're going to be able to say, okay, we got this now. We don't have to listen to all these negative Nellies out here. We have a path that we're going to go down and we don't have to let anybody make us feel bad. Okay? Because there's going to be people that are going to make you feel bad in this industry. Oh, yes. You will come across people who are going to be very strong personalities, and then you're going to come across people who have a lot of power and that they're not very good medical coders, but they have a lot of power. So that's something that you have to learn to work with. And that's just part of being in this industry. This industry is for people who have thick skin. You have to have some thick skin to get into this industry. And if you feel like, well, Blue, I don't know, I'm kind of timid and I'm scared, I'm a scared person naturally, you can always grow and develop into a stronger person, into a stronger professional. That stuff takes time to do. I was once very shy and I was once very scared to talk to providers because I thought, well, they know a lot and I was intimidated, but it wasn't until the providers came to me and started talking to me and said, Blue, we're not coders. We know doctor stuff. The coding stuff. So you got to help us out here. And so since then, I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. And now I know that they need to hear from me as well. So it takes you putting yourself in it. Okay. So that's that first part answered. The second question, or the second thing was, I'm behind in class, school ends in 2 days. Well, by the time I'm responding to this has been through since 3 days ago. If you have your program that's ending like in a week or in a couple of days, it's over, right? It's over. You're not going to learn anything new. If you do not pass your program, it is okay. Not passing a program does not mean that you cannot study on your own so that you can sit for the certification. The 4 main medical coding certifications, the CCS, the CCA, the CCSP, or the CPC. The first 3 are with the HEMA. The last one is with AAPC. None of these require you to go through a formal program. Now, it is recommended that you have experience for especially the CCS. That is the gold standard of medical coding credentials. It is recommended. A lot of people say, oh, I don't have experience, but I can't sit for the CCS. It says it is recommended that you have experience. You do not have to have experience, and you do not have to have a degree, and you do not have to go to a formal program in order to sit for any one of these. So this is why I say don't panic. If you don't do well in your program, you don't do well in the program. There's a lot of people that go through these stinking fast-paced medical coding programs that I tell y'all not to go through every single time. Don't go through those fast-paced medical coding programs. Fast-paced, meaning that the program is less than 9 months. 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months is a very good time in order to be trained for medical coding. Before you say, well, Blue, AAPC's program for coding is only 4 months. Okay. I've explained that before. I still recommend their program because you can pay for an extension if you need it, but it also does not mean that it's just a 4 months because the medical terminology and the anatomy is separate, and when you combine them, it's 8 months. So yes, that is a little fast, but it's a lot better than trying to go through these 6-month programs, 5-month programs, 4-month programs, or yes, you know, we'll train you in just 2 months. Oh, when I heard that from one viewer, that literally made me sick to my stomach. Selling a program saying that, oh, you'll be ready to be a medical coder in 2 months. No, you will not. And I do not care if you have previous background as medical, in anything in medical. It doesn't matter because medical coding and anything else in the medical field, nursing, x-ray tech, surgical tech, any of those things, it is completely different. Medical coders function under different rules. We speak a different language, people. We do. And we have to be able to interpret and understand all of these things. And the second that we don't, we have to know how to do our research. This is not like something like being a nurse or being a medical assistant or CNA or LVN, LPN, or any of those things. It is not like that. They have very strict duties as to what they do and how they perform their duties. We have to sit here and interpret different documentation from providers who each had different medical training. And they're seeing different unique patients each. So that's why we are so different from nursing and all this other good stuff. And it really frustrates me in this industry to see people say, oh yeah, if you've been a nurse, it's going to be so easy for you. If you've been in the medical field before, you could be a medical coder and you could be working at home and spending time with your family. Guys, no. And I will always say the opposite, which is you need time in the facility when you're first starting, okay? Because you need to be around other people who have been medical coders before. This is not something that's going to be so easy when you get out into the real world and you pass your certification exam, because book coding and real world coding are two different things. Yes, they are related, but they are two different things. And do not let that scare you. Don't comment that I just scared you. Please don't. Because the simple fact is, when you get into the real world, you're going to understand what I'm saying. And I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this to prepare you. This is where a lot of people get tripped up because they are not prepared for the real world. They're not prepared even for school because they think that it's going to be a cakewalk. Oh yeah, it's going to be so easy. Okay, we have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. Let me say it again. We have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. Why do I say this? Because we have to understand anatomy. We have to understand medical terminology. We have to understand what these doctors are saying when they're using these big words. Okay, guys, they use big words and they have a very extensive vocabulary. Medical terminology is full of Latin and Greek words. And if you don't understand those things and you don't know how to look stuff up, you're going to be very lost very quickly. So again, I'm telling you this to prepare you. Please listen to me when I say these things, because otherwise you're going to end up like this viewer here who is feeling the overwhelming feelings of, It's 2 days away. My program's going to end and I understand nothing. I don't want that for all of you. I want you all to understand that when you're getting out there in the real world, if you neglected any of your studies with medical terminology or anatomy, you're going to be in big trouble, because trust me, you're going to be reading that stuff all day long. And I don't care if they told you, oh yeah, the doctors already select their own codes. You know how many times those codes are wrong? They're wrong a lot of the time. And a lot of the times those electronic medical records are no good for that either, because they make a lot of mistakes too. I'm just saying. And then, here we go. I am not happy. Stress, all-nighters, anxiety, failure, and confusion that won't leave, thinking, do I need to go back/continue? Literally, this school has is rated the worst, but it's close, it's affordable, and the only main university here in my state. Okay, first of all, you're not always going to be happy. This field is not glamorous in the fact that you're always going to be happy. You know, a lot of people seem to think that nowadays, if you are not immediately 100% of the time happy, this isn't for you then. Guys, if that was really the case, then there would be no medical coders. Because this field is about commitment. You have to be committed to learning about it. You can't just quit on it even before you start. And if you're saying, well, I'm not happy. Well, if you're really not that happy, then quit. Quit. Right. Because then what are you doing? You're spending money to learn something, and because the second you feel that unhappiness, oh, that's it, right? Nope, that's not the way it should be. Because if that's the way that it is, then you're always going to be quitting. You're going to quit every single thing that you start. And are you ever going to start a career? Because you just felt a little bit of uncomfortableness, unhappiness. Not everything has to be happy 100% of the time in order for you to feel fulfilled. There are days when I was a medical coding student that I didn't understand some things. And so I had to go back and reread. And I had to go back and look at the book again. And I had to say, okay, well, it's this, and this. And okay, well, if I remember this, then it's going to be okay. So I had to do a lot of that too. This is stuff that's brand new. I did not come from a background of medical at all myself. I knew nothing about medical. I was so far away from the medical field, it was not even funny. And it is a miracle that I got here. Literally a miracle. Because sometimes medical coding will seek you out. So if you got into this field and you felt like you got into it by accident, oh no, trust me, there was no accident. That's the way that it's designed to be. Because sometimes our fate will present itself. And we just have to be willing to go along with it. To see what other doors are going to open. To see what other challenges we as individuals are going to be able to overcome. You get one life. And that's it. When you're done with this rodeo, that's it. So if you are not doing something that you enjoy, and you're saying, oh, well, I'm going to wait till I'm retired, and then I'm going to enjoy life. How many people have said that and then not been happy in their retirement because then they become bored? They don't have anything to stimulate their mind. They don't have anything to challenge them. And then they struggle with that and they don't know what to do. And they say, well, oh no, I'm too old to go back to school. I'm too old to do this. I'm too old to do that. Guys, there's no such thing as too old anymore. Okay? Because I get people all the time in their 50s and in their 60s just barely starting in this. I went to school with a lady who's age 61 and she's still a medical coder today. I've been a medical coder for over 13 years. She's still a medical coder today. Spry, sharp as a tack, and still feisty as heck. So with that said, yeah, you still have time to have another career. But again, it takes work. It takes investment of time. It takes investment of energy, and it takes sacrifice, which is a thing that a lot of people don't have the discipline to do. They don't want to sacrifice their time, with their kids and their family and that kind of thing. It's not forever, guys. It's just a little bit of time. And it's not for extensive hours at a time. It is literally for 1 hour at a time. You study for 1 hour, and then you take a break. Take 30 minutes. Take take 45 minutes if you want to. You could take another hour and then come back to it, and then you study for another hour. Now you got 2 hours, and then all the other times that you can fit in during the day. All right, we've talked about this before, where you could be driving, you could be listening to those anatomy channels that I've recommended so many times from YouTube. And if you don't know, you can look in the description box. If you don't see them there, you can always go into YouTube and put anatomy, and you will see a lot of different channels pop up. I have recommended channels before, and people sit here and want to talk about trash about that channel. I don't want to hear it, guys. So that's why I say, if you don't want to listen to my recommends on the anatomy channel, that's fine. Find some for yourself, and that way you can see and just listen to those things. You can listen to medical terminology channels on YouTube as well that are really good. Don't ask me, guys, because you can go to YouTube and you can type in medical terminology, and you'll see a ton of them pop up. And even if it says medical terminology for nurses or medical terminology for doctors, it's okay. You can still listen. You can still listen, because you're exposing your brain to those things. It's like I've recommended before. Watch House, the show House MD, which they talk a lot about medical terms. They talk about anatomy. And every single one of those cases on House is modeled after a real life case. So it gives you an idea and a perspective from the doctor's side of what treatment options they thought of, and what did they think that it could potentially be in these really crazy cases. But it starts to develop your brain like, oh, okay, this is what sarcoidosis means, and this is what Cushing's disease means, and these are all those conditions that you are going to hear about on the show. Now, I like House more than any other show. Grey's Anatomy, I like it, but it's more drama than anything else. House has a little bit of drama, but it's really more on the nerd side, right, with the doctor stuff. So that's why I recommend that you watch House if you want to see something like that. But let's get out of this mindset. Before I wrap this one up, I want to say this. If you're going to start something, stick with it. Even when you feel like you're not happy or that you feel confused, stop pulling these all-nighters. Stop pulling. You're not in high school anymore, okay? None of us are, right? None of us that are adults are in high school anymore where we can do that. Because as adults, we have bills we have to pay. We have families to take care of. We have all these things that we have to do. So we're not designed to learn that way anymore. Start hanging up your posters for anatomy. I have the anatomy plates that I recommend in the description box below. Start listening to those shows. Start watching House, which is available everywhere. But start watching those shows, so that way you can get into that mindset of learning the medicine side, and learning anatomy, learning medical terminology, and start practicing with coding for 1 hour at a time. Take a break. Study for no less than 20 hours per week, and start getting yourself on those schedules. Watch my videos where I talk about how to set up a study schedule and how to find, ways of studying, so that way it's going to be easier for you. And stop concentrating on your feelings of feeling like, oh, I feel like a failure. No, you're not. The only thing that's a failure, right, is when you stay down instead of getting right back up and saying, no, we're going to get this. And if you don't get something, put it to the side, put a pin in it, and move on to the next subject, and then come back to that subject. Or find yourself a mentor, or find yourself a tutor who can explain that to you. All right, guys? So that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a lot, and, I may have run some people off from this, and that's okay. Because if it was that easy for you to run off from a career field like this, then it wasn't for you in the first place. Okay? Get a thicker skin, guys. You can do this. And you can absolutely do anything that you want to. Doesn't matter what these negative Nellies out there are saying, these naysayers. It's your life, your career. Okay? Remember, all you get is one life. Make it a good one. All right, so I'm going to wrap this one up. Best of luck to you out there, guys. And yes, you can do it. Don't concentrate on your feelings. Just get out there and get it done. All right, I will see y'all on the next episode. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.